Hi Sharpie, nice to see you face to face, as it were. Evolution can explain the perfection of living matter. Well, I'll let the word perfection ride because we both know what birth defects are. How do we explain the perfection of non-living systems? To a physicist, there's no such thing. It's all one system. The atoms of iron, say, in your blood are exactly the same as an atom of iron in a sword. If you took one atom from each thing, your blood and from a sword, and examined them scientifically, it would be utterly impossible to tell which atom came from which, because all iron atoms are identical to all other iron atoms. So it's all one physical system. It's a bit of a simplification, but the way I would explain the perfection of living matter and non-living matter is down to the four forces. A lot of people think there are many forces at work in this universe, when in fact there are four, with a fifth that's recently been discovered, which is dark energy, and we don't know what that is, so I'm not going to talk about that. But we've got gravity, which in a way isn't really a force, it's a result of the curvature of space-time, although it may have a quantum mechanical explanation. We don't know. We've not been able to create the particle which transmits the force of gravity yet, but it may be there. But at the moment we express that as a curvature of space-time. We then have the strong and weak nuclear forces and electromagnetism. It's a bit of a misleading thing to call them four separate forces, because that's how they appear now with the universe at the temperature and energies that it has at the moment. Way back at the Big Bang, all of these forces, it seems, were one force, and that they split apart, or decoupled, to give it the correct term, and we're left with the four forces, and it's the balance of those four forces and the way that they interact with matter. Some scientists hate the word matter, but I have to use it to try and keep things simple. That explains the perfection. All of those rules seem to have been set right at the instant of the Big Bang. So that kind of leads on to your second question, which it was something along the lines of why, if there was a God who was touching things, sorry, that's not your second question, it's lower down, if there was a God who was set up the rules and did little touch-ups along the way. I don't think there's any evidence for little touch-ups along the way, let alone a celestial finger nudging an asteroid towards our little rock to take care of the dinosaurs. I mean, I could do a video all on that on its own. And as for lightning striking puddles of water and kick-starting life, well, if you remember that the early Earth was under heavy asteroidal bombardment, so it's highly unlikely that one pool started the whole game and that pool survived unscathed. It's far more likely that life started in a pool, got smashed to bits by an asteroid, started again somewhere else, got smashed again, until the asteroid bombardment dropped off, the regularity of these strikes dropped off, and life was allowed to take hold. From the rules, the four forces, the balance that I mentioned earlier, it seems that if you have a pool with the right elements at the right temperature, with sufficient time for evolution to take place after abiogenesis, something will crawl out of it. That seems to be writ large into the universe. When the moon hit the Earth, did it hit at just the right angle to... You use the word correct for the angle with which this... First of all, the moon didn't strike the Earth. Two objects, one which was around about 50% to 90% the size of the Earth, and another object the size of Mars, came together. Apparently it was a striking blow which sped up the Earth's rotation. One of the bodies completely disintegrated and formed Saturn-like rings around what became the Earth, and those rings slowly coalesced to form the moon. That's the current theory. I think it's pretty much guesswork as regards the timing of it, but they say it happened around about 4.6 billion years ago, with the Earth's formation roughly tagged at 4.5 billion years by other means. So when you say the correct angle, be careful, because it could have struck at a slightly different angle in a slightly different way, or even quite a different angle at a different way at a different velocity, and life might still have been possible. I'm not too sure, and I have to say I'm speaking from ignorance here, because I don't know a great deal about ecology and that type of thing, and especially vegetable type organisms. But it may be that seasons are the enemy of life, an obstacle at least. Life might, I'm not sure, but it might prefer a steady, unchanging equatorial climate. So life may have had to evolve to overcome the obstacle of seasons. I'm not sure that seasons are a prerequisite for life at all. So when you say the correct angle, correct by what yardstick? Perfection in mathematics, why is it there? I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it? The two-horse race. Okay, I came up with this analogy a little while ago. It's like a two-horse race, and you're betting your life on which horse is going to win. One horse is called God, one is called No God. Which one do you place your bet on, bearing in mind the form of the two horses? Now, you say if the believer is wrong, then they never know because they just die and that's that, which is perfectly true. If the non-believer is wrong, the atheist is wrong, then what do they do when they're suddenly confronted with God? Well, I've planned for this, just in case, and my answer is, God, it's your fault. You made human beings too intelligent. The only evidence you gave me for your existence was one book. Books are written by pens in the hands of men. How can you possibly expect me to believe all the other stuff that was claimed in that book with no other evidence apart from the book itself, when there were so many other clearer, more logical, rational, self-consistent explanations? If you're going to send me to hell for being too intelligent, then damn you. That's what I'll say if it turns out that my bet is wrong. And also remember that atheists are like gamblers who have inside information on not just their own horse, but the opposition's horse as well. I'm going to put a link up there of a wonderful video shown to me by Atheist Paladin concerning the basic mythology going from the times of the Egyptians right through to Christianity, and it essentially shows that Jesus is a sophisticated version of a sun god. I recommend you watch it. I think it's about 20 odd minutes long, and it's just excellent with some of the observations and the explanations they have for recurrent themes within not just Christianity, but going way back to the Egyptians. How big is the universe? Well, I'll also put another link up. We make the mistake, and I make this mistake all the time, of thinking that the universe, the radius of the universe is 14, roughly, billion years in distance, 14 billion light years. So from that you extrapolate to a diameter of 28 billion light years. But it's wrong, because we're not taking into account the amount of expansion that the universe has done in those 14 billion years. I'm afraid it's requiring a little bit of four-dimensional thinking, and that's slightly beyond me, but I'm utterly convinced that that's correct. Whether it's as broad as the scale which is going to be shown in the link, I'm not too sure. I've heard 46 billion light years, 78 billion light years, and the one that you see over there, I think that says 156 billion light years. It's all to do with the amount of expansion that's taken place in those 13.5 billion years since the creation of the universe. It's not so much how big it appears to us, but how big it actually is now. We cannot see how big it is now because there hasn't been time for the light from universes where they stand today to reach us, and that light won't reach us for many, many billions of years. So it's difficult. You're having to think about how it appears to us now, but how it actually is now, all the time remembering that now doesn't actually exist. So good luck with that. I I've had to talk quickly, running out of time. See you soon. Any more questions, just throw them at me.